What is up, guys? Alvin Pound here to bring you guys a little taste of a new segment I'm coming out with on my channel. I know I have a lot of shit going on, a lot of segments going on, a lot of activities, a lot of videos, obviously, but I want to make this one work because this is a really interesting segment I thought of the other day. Tell me how you guys like it. It's a love/hate justified segment where basically I'm going to call out a show or an anime, a manga, a concept, anything, and I'm gonna dissect it. I'm gonna look at it as a whole and decide whether the love it has or the hate it has is justified. Today I'm gonna do Fairy Tail. All right, I'm gonna look at Fairy Tail from an unbiased standpoint and tell you guys honestly whether the hate it gets is really justified or if it does not deserve as much hate as it gets right now. Let me start breaking it down. Fairy Tail, if you haven't noticed, follows a general formula. It is modeled after a certain very popular, or the most popular right now, manga. It's modeled after One Piece. Another manga that is modeled after One Piece is Toriko, but they both take different routes. They both have the same general structure, but in different ways. Toriko from One Piece takes the plot. You're finding something, and there are two organizations that are kind of competing for it. Now, the route that Fairy Tail takes, Fairy Tail has no underlying, huge plot that anyone really cares about. But what it has is the structure. There are a bunch of independent mage guilds, as in One Piece there are a bunch of independent pirate crews, etc. But, taking things from there, let's compare the main characters, which, as most people don't really want to admit, are sort of similar. Natsu and Luffy, heavily reliant on their Nakama for strength and support, but they are different from there. Natsu kind of relies on an ass pull kind of 100% win rate strategy where all he has to do is think about his Nakama and he automatically just so happens to win pretty much every fight he's in. While Luffy, he does get fucked up and he doesn't get random power-ups out of nowhere or one-shot people when he's really, weaker than them. And that's really where these two series take a turn that's different from each other. Comparing the individual groups the main characters themselves are in, they're not really that comparable. The Fairy Tail Guild and the One Piece Pirate and Luffy's Straw Hat Pirate crew are really not at all comparable. They're totally different. Looking at the characters individually, in that standpoint, characters only, I would not say Fairy Tail has the best characters. Granted, there are a few really cool ones. There's Urza. I did have a Fairy Tail phase at one point. There's Urza. She's a pretty good character. Loxus, he can be considered a good character, even though people, said that his character was ruined when he said, "I'm fired up." But I'll get to that in a little bit. I'm not really a big fan of Gray. Never really was. And Natsu, not really a great character. But there are a few. I'll give it to Fairy Tail. It does have a few good characters. Characters is not really where the story falls apart, even to most haters. I mean, haters can say how much they hate certain characters, such as Lucy, which really kind of warrant it. But there are the positive aspects as far as characters are concerned. I wouldn't say that's the series' major problem. Plot. I think plot is really one of Fairy Tail's major problems. Earlier on in the series, even though there was no, the plot has always been, Natsu wants to find a meal, there really has never been a huge underlying plot. Each arc has its own plot. And as far as the plot goes, I think the most important thing for a series is to have is a overall plot. I don't think the plot should be followed, to the T. It has to be a plot that's easily, explainable. You know what it is, and you're just going after it. It has to just be there. It has to be a plot where even if an arc has a totally unrelated, plot, something about the arc has to relate back to the central plot. The example I'll use once again is One Piece. The major goal of Luffy is to find the One Piece. At the end of each arc, some kind of progress is made towards finding the One Piece. Whether it's just progressing with the story, progressing on your way to One Piece, whether it's finding a poneglyph, something like that relates back to the central plot. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what a fairy tale's lacking. There's really no central plot that people care about. The arc plots themselves are greater than and more important than the major theme or plot, which is really a major flaw. So you don't really know what you're in the adventure for. You're just along for the ride. So, I mean, for casual anime fans, as we do know, Fairy Tail does have a fair amount of fans. There are people who like Fairy Tail, but I think they're more casual and they're not really looking at it too critically. So up until this point, as far as the plot's concerned, I do think Fairy Tail deserves the hate that it gets. Now, I'm going to look at this point, not the plot, not the characters, but the cliches. The cliches in Fairy Tail are out of this world. Nakama power-ups. Nakama power-ups have never really been an issue in shonen. They're kind of expected to happen. Nakama power-ups are not uncommon either, in some way, shape, or form. But Fairy Tail does take it to a whole new level and makes these Nakama power-ups actually, an important aspect of the fucking story, which is really, really a mistake. Another thing that Fairy Tail does get bashed frequently for, is the fact that in Fairy Tail, there are one-shots, one-hit KOs of highly anticipated fights. Really, really highly anticipated fights, such as the Grand Magic Tournament is going to be a really, really, really Luxus match versus Jura, I believe. I think so. This is a really good example of that. That fight was anticipated and really was being looked forward to. And, Mashima can't manage to grind out an actual good fight. He cannot manage to just do it, to just write a good fight. Granted, One Piece, which it's modeled after, is not really known for its fights. But Mashima, he trolls. He basically trolls a lot of the viewers with these fights that usually end up ending in one-shots, which are really worst-case scenario as far as the match is concerned, especially if it's a hyped and highly anticipated match that people have really been waiting for. So you really can't troll your viewers like that. Me, myself, I ended up dropping Fairy Tail towards the middle of the tournament, the Grand Magic Tournament. I didn't really drop it, but I sort of put it on hold. I may get back to it at some point in time, and I don't know. It's really just not high on my list right now. Final thoughts on whether Fairy Tail really deserves the hate it gets. I think to some degree it does, but the fact is a lot of people haven't really discovered for themselves why they dislike the series or why it's not the right series for them. They just hop on the hate bandwagon, which really, that's never excusable. But in my personal opinion, my personal experience with Fairy Tail, yes, there was a point in time where I did like the series and put it actually pretty high up there. But, things have changed. The series really didn't do anything to hold my interest and really messed up a couple of the major plot points I was looking forward to with the fights that I was really anticipating. So I do think Fairy Tail deserves a good amount of the hate it gets. So yes, the final verdict is the hate for Fairy Tail is justified. It is justified. It's not a bad series again, not a bad series, but is it where it could be? Is it where it's supposed to be? I always talk about this. Same thing with a lot of other series. I'm going to save this for another video, but a series is where it is, and there's always its potential. Is it where it could be? Is it where we, as viewers, would like it to be? Fairy Tail could be up here, but instead, Mashima, has been writing down here. Anyways, guys, tell me what you guys think of this video, of this segment. Are there any other anime or manga you'd like me to, look at and tell you guys if it deserves the hate or the love it gets. My next video, hate and love segment, is probably going to be Naruto Shippuden. Does it deserve the hate it gets? Hate justified. Or One Piece. Does it deserve the love it gets? Something like that. Something of that variety. I don't even know. But yeah, £1,000 here, guys. I am out. Peace.